Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll continue reading from Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter number 19. We are on verse number 145. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam bande Shri Gurum Dintarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitaneshwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. तार मध्य मनुष्य जाति अति अल्पत्र तार मध्य म्लेच्छा पुलिंदा बौद्ध sabar. Although the living entities known as human beings are very small in quantity, that division may be still further subdivided, for there are many uncultured human beings like mlechas, pulindas, bodhas, and shabaras. Verse 146. Veda nishtha madhe ardhe ka veda mukhe mane veda nishiddha papa kare dharma nahi gane. Among human beings, those who are followers of the Vedic principles are considered civilized. Among these almost half simply give lip service while committing all kinds of sinful activities against these principles. Such people do not care for the regulative principles purported by His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. The word Veda means knowledge. Supreme knowledge consists of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and our relationship with Him, and acting according to that relationship. Action in accordance with the Vedic principles is called religion. Religion means following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedic principles are the injunctions given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aryans are civilized human beings who have been following the Vedic principles since time immemorial. No one can trace out the history of the Vedic principles set forth so that the man might understand the Supreme Being. Literature or knowledge that seeks the Supreme Being can be accepted as a bona fide religious system, but there are many different types of religions, systems according to the place, the disciples, and the people's capacity to understand. The highest type of religious system is described in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1.2.6. The sarve pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. The highest form of the religion is that by which one becomes fully conscious of the existence of God, including His form, name, qualities, pastimes, abode, and all pervasive features. When everything is completely known, that is the perfection of the Vedic knowledge. The fulfillment of Vedic knowledge is systematic knowledge of the characteristics of God. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita 15.15. Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyah. The aim of Vedic knowledge is to understand God. Therefore, those who are actually following the Vedic knowledge and searching after God cannot commit sinful activities against the Supreme Lord's order. However, in this age of Kali, although men profess to belong to so many different kinds of religions, most of them commit sinful activities against the orders of the Vedic scriptures. Shri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu therefore says here, in Veda Nishiddha Papa Kare Dharma Nahi Gane. In this age, men may profess a religion, but they actually do not follow the principles. Instead, they commit all kinds of sins. Verse number 147. Dharmachari madhe bahut karmanishtha koti karmanishtha madhe ek jnani shrestha. Among the followers of the Vedic knowledge, most are following the process of fruitive activity and distinguishing between good and bad work. Out of many such sincere fruitive actors, there may be one who is actually wise. Purport Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that the word karmanishtha refers to one who aspires to enjoy the results of the good work and pious activities. Some followers of the Vedic principles offer everything to the absolute truth and do not aspire to enjoy the results of their pious actions. These are also considered among the karmanishtas. Sometimes we see pious men earn money with great hardship and then spend the money for some pious cause by opening public charities, schools, hospitals. Whether one earns money for himself or for the public benefit, he is called a karmanishta. Out of millions of karmanishtas, there may be one who is wise. Those who try to avoid fruitive activity and who become silent in order to merge into the spiritual existence of this absolute truth are generally known as jnanis, the wise men. They are not interested in fruitive activity but in merging into the Supreme. In either case, both the Karmnishthas and Jnanis are interested in personal benefit. The Karmis are directly interested in personal benefit within the material world, and the Jnanis are interested in merging into the existence of the Supreme. The Jnanis maintain that fruitive activity is imperfect. For them, perfection is the cessation of work and the merging into the Supreme existence. That is their goal in life. The Jnani wants to extinguish the distinction between knowledge, the knower, and the aim of knowledge. This philosophy is called monism or oneness and is characterized by spiritual silence. Verse 148, Koti Jnani Madhyaya Ek Jana Mukta Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabha Ek Krishna Bhakta. Out of many millions of such wise men, one may actually become liberated. Mukta, out of many millions of such liberated persons, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is very difficult to find. Purport. In Śrīla Bhagavatam 10.2.32, it is said that due to their poor fund of knowledge, the Jnanis are not actually liberated. They simply think that they are liberated. The perfection of knowledge culminates when one comes to the platform of knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdayate. The absolute truth, Satya Vastu, is described as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Knowledge of impersonal Brahman and the Supersoul is imperfect until one comes to the platform of knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore clearly said in this verse, Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabha Ek Krishna Bhakta, those who search after the knowledge of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma are certainly accepted as liberated, but due to their imperfect knowledge, they are described in Śrīmad Bhagavatam as Vimukta Maninaha. Since their knowledge is imperfect, their conception of liberation is imperfect. Perfect knowledge is possible when one knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is supported by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita 5.29. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. A person in full Krishna consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Research is going on for the Karmis, Jnanis, and Yogis, but until the search is complete, no one can attain peace. Therefore, the Bhagavad-Gita says, Gyatva mam shantim richati, one can actually attain peace when he knows Krishna. This is described in the next verse. Verse number 149. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataiva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. So bhuktis of material enjoyment and muktis of liberation from material activities. Siddhi is perfection, yogic performance, and kami are those who are desirous. Because a devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. Fruitive workers desire material enjoyment, Jnani desires liberation, and yogis desire material opulences. Therefore, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. Purport: the devotee of Lord Krishna has no desire other than serving Krishna. Even so-called liberated people are full of desires. Fruitive actors desire better living accommodation, and Jnanis want to be one with the Supreme. Yogis desire material opulence, yogic perfections, and magic. All of these non-devotees are lusty, that is kami, because they desire something they cannot have. The peace. The peace formula is given by Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita 5.29. Bhaktaram aham yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. One who simply understands that throughout the entire universe, Krishna is supreme enjoyer and beneficiary of all kinds of sacrifices, penances, and austerities which should be performed only to attain his devotional service, that Krishna is supreme being and the proprietor of all the material worlds, and that Krishna is the only friend who can actually do good to all living entities, Suridam Sarvabhutanam. One who understands these three principles about Krishna immediately becomes desireless, nishkam, and therefore peaceful. A Krishna Bhakt always knows that his friend and protector in all respects is Krishna, who is able to do anything for his devotees. Krishna says, Kvante pratijanahi na me bhaktaha pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee shall never perish. Since Krishna gives this assurance, the devotee lives in Krishna and has no desire for personal benefit. The background for the devotee is all good himself. Why should the devotee aspire for something good for himself? His only business is to please the Supreme by rendering as much service as possible. A Krishna Bhakt has no desire for his own personal benefit. He is completely protected by the Supreme. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasa Palana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he is desireless because Krishna will give him protection in all circumstances. It is not that he expects any assistance from Krishna. He simply depends on Krishna just as a child depends on his parents. The child does not know how to expect service from his parents, but he is always protected nevertheless. This is called Nishkam or desirelessness. Although karmis, jnanis and yogis fulfill their desires by performing various activities, they are never satisfied. A karmi may work very hard to acquire millions of dollars, but as soon as he gets $1 million, he desires another million. For the karmis, there is no end of desire. The more the karmi gets, the more he desires. The jnanis cannot be desireless because the intelligence is unsound. They want to merge into the Brahman effulgence, but even though they may be raised to that platform, they cannot be satisfied there. There are many jnanis or sannyasis who, after taking sannyas and giving up the world as false, return to the world to engage in politics or philanthropy or to open schools and hospitals. This means that they cannot attain the real Brahman, the Brahma Satyam. They have to come down to the material platform to engage in philanthropic activity. Thus, they again cultivate desires, and when these desires are exhausted, they desire something different. Therefore, the jnani cannot be nishkam, desireless, nor can the yogi be desireless, for they desire yogic perfections in order to exhibit some magical feats and gain popularity. People gather around these yogis, and the yogis desire more and more adulation. Because they misuse their mystic power, they fall down again to the material platform. It is not possible for them to become nishkam or desireless. The conclusion is that only the devotees who are simply satisfied in serving the Lord can actually become desireless. Therefore, Caitanya Mahāprabhu here says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam. Since the Krishna Bhakta, devotee of Krishna, is satisfied with Krishna, there is no possibility of fall down. Verse 150. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayanaha sudurlabha prashantatma kotishva api mahamune. O great sage, out of many millions of materially liberated people who are free from ignorance, and of many millions of siddhas who have nearly attained perfection, there is hardly one pure devotee of Narayan. Only such devotees actually completely satisfied and peaceful. Purport, these purports are quite long now. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5. The Narayan Parayan, the devotee of Lord Narayan, is the only blissful person. One who becomes a Narayan Parayan is already liberated from material bondage. He already possesses all the perfections of yoga. Unless one comes to the platform of Narayan Parayan and passes over the platform of Bhukti Mukti Siddhi, he cannot be fully satisfied. That is the pure devotional stage. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena krishnanu Śrīla bhakti ruttama. One who desires nothing but Krishna and who is not influenced by the process of Gyan Marg, cultivation of knowledge, actually becomes free from ignorance. A first-class person is one who is not influenced by karma, that is the fruitive activity, or yoga, which is the mystic activity, power. He simply depends on Krishna and is satisfied in his devotional service, according to Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Narayana paraha sarvena kutaschana bibhyati. Such a person is never afraid of anything. For him, heaven and hell are the same. Not knowing the situation of Narayana Parayana, rascals become envious. By the grace of Narayana, devotees situated in the most opulent position in the material world. Rascals are envious of Narayan and his devotees, but the devotee endeavors to please another devotee of Narayan because he knows that by pleasing Narayan's representative and one directly pleases Lord Narayan. Therefore, a devotee offers the best comforts and facilities to his spiritual master. Outsiders who have no knowledge of Narayan are envious of both Narayan and his devotees. Consequently, when they see that Narayan's devotees are opulently situated, they become even more envious. But when the devotees of Narayan ask such foolish people to come to live with him in the same comfortable situation, they do not agree, because they cannot give up the illicit relationships, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Therefore, the materialist refuses the company of Narayan Parayan, although he is envious of the devotee's material situation. In Western countries, when ordinary men, storekeepers, and workers see our devotees living and eating sumptuously and yet not working, they become very eager to know how they get the money. Such people become envious and ask, how is it possible to live so comfortably? Okay, where was I? Comfortable without working. How is it that you have so many cars, bright face, and nice clothes? Not knowing that Krishna looks after his devotees, such people become surprised and some become envious. Moving on to verse 151. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. It's a very famous verse. Let's repeat it again. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. According to the karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary system and some are going down into lower planetary system. Out of many million of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master, or by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and spiritual master, such a person receives the end of the creeper of devotional service. Purport: when we speak of Brahmanda, we refer to the whole universe or to the cluster of many millions of universes. In all the universes, there are innumerable planets, and there are innumerable planets, living entities upon those planets, in the air, on land, in water. There are millions and millions of living entities everywhere, and they are engaged in Maya, in suffering and enjoying, which Prabhupada uses in so many places: hankering and lamenting and enjoying. The results of the fruitive activity, life after life. This is the position of the materially conditioned living entities. Out of many of these living entities, one who actually is fortunate, Bhagyavan, comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master by Krishna's mercy. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and if one desires something, Krishna fulfills one's heart. If the living entity by chance or fortune comes in contact with the Krishna conscious movement and wishes to associate with the movement, Krishna, who is situated in everyone's heart, give him the chance to meet the bona fide spiritual master. This is called Guru Krishna Prasad. Krishna is prepared to bestow his mercy upon all the living entities, and soon as the living entity desires the Lord's mercy, the Lord immediately gives him an opportunity to meet a spiritual master. That person is helped from within by Krishna and from without by the spiritual master. Both are prepared to help the sincere living beings. How can one become this fortunate can be seen in the life of Śrīla Narad Muni. In his previous life, he was born of a maidservant. Although he was not born into prestigious position, his mother was fortunately engaged in rendering service to some Vaishnavas. When these Vaishnavas were resting during the Chaturmasa period, the boy Narad took the opportunity to engage in the service. Taking compassion upon the boy, the Vaishnavas offered him the remnants of the food. By serving these Vaishnavas and obeying their orders, the boy became the object of their sympathy. And by the Vaishnavas' unknown mercy, to gradually become pure devotee. In the next life, he was Narad Muni, the most exalted of Vaishnavas and the most important guru of Acharya of Vaishnavas. Following the footsteps of Narad Muni, the Krishna consciousness movement is rendering service to humanity by giving everyone a chance to come in contact with Krishna. If one is fortunate, he becomes intimately related with this movement. Then by the grace of Krishna, one One's life becomes successful. Everyone has dormant Krishna Bhakti, love for Krishna, and in the association of good devotees, that love is revealed, as stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22.107, which we'll read very shortly. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabhu Naya Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kare Udaya. Dormant devotional service to Krishna is within everyone simply by associating with devotee, hearing their good instructions, and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Dormant love for Krishna is awakened, and in this way we acquire the seed of devotional service. Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Beej. Verse 152. Malihena kare se beej arupana shravana kirtan chale kare se chana. When a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in his heart. If he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. Purport to live with the devotees is to live in a temple, means to associate with the Shravana Kirtan process. Sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravana Kirtan process without worshipping deity, but the execution of such Shravan Kirtan process without worshipping the deity. However, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur. So I think I skipped one line here. Sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravan Kirtan process without worshipping the deity, but the execution of such Shravan Kirtan is meant for highly developed devotees like Haridas Thakur, who engage in the Shravan Kirtan process without worshipping the deity. However, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur or anybody else for the sake and abandon deity worship, not just to try to engage in. This is not possible for neophyte devotees. The word Guru Prasad indicates that the spiritual master is very merciful in bestowing the boon of devotional service upon his disciple. That is the best possible gift the spiritual master has to offer. Right, lost my pointer there. Okay. Those with a background of pious life are eligible to receive life's supreme benefit and to bestow this benefit. Right. Those with a background of pious life are eligible to receive life's supreme benefit and bestow this benefit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead sends his representative to impart his mercy. Endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master distributes the mercy to those who are elevated and pious. Thus, the spiritual master trains the disciple to render devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Guru Kripa. It is Krishna Prasad. Krishna's mercy that he sends a bona fide spiritual master to the deserving disciple, and by the mercy of Krishna, one meets the bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, the disciple is fully trained in the devotional service of the Lord. This is the seat of devotional service. Everything has a... Sorry, where it is? Everything... Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called the beej or seed. The methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service. Continue the Bhakti Lata Beej or seed of devotional service. This Bhakti Lata Beej is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds include Anabhilashita Beej, including Karam Beej and Gyan Beej. If one is fortunate enough to receive the Bhakti Lata Beej from the spiritual master, He instead cultivates such seeds as karma beej, gyan beej, or political, social, or philanthropic beejas. However, the Bhakti-lata beej is different from these beejas. The Bhakti-lata beej can be offered only through the mercy of however, the Bhakti-lata beej is different from the other beejas. The Bhakti-lata beej can be received only through the mercy of spiritual master. Therefore, one has to satisfy the spiritual master to get the Bhakti-lata beej. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada, we sing in the Mangalarti every day. The Bhakti-lata beej is the origin of spiritual master to get the But one who is faithful to his spiritual master gets the Bhakti-lata beej. The Bhakti-lata beej is received when one is initiated by a supreme bona fide spiritual master. After receiving the spiritual master's mercy, we must repeat its transaction. Instructions, not transaction. And this is called Shravan Kirtan. Hearing and chanting, one who has not properly heard the spiritual master or who does not follow the regulative principles is not fit for chanting or the Kirtan. It is explained in Bhagavad-Gita 2.1. Vyavasayatmika buddhi eke Guru Nandana. One who has not listened carefully to the instructions of the spiritual master is this is explained in 2.41. Saitmika buddhir eke Kurunandana, one who has not listened carefully to the instructions of the spiritual master or unfit for chanting or preaching the cult of devotional service, one has to water the Bhakti-lata beej by receiving instructions born from the spiritual master. So, verse number 153. Upajiya bade lata brahmande bhediyaye vajay brahmaloka bhedi. Okay, verse 153. Upajya bade lata brahmanda bhediyaya viraja brahmaloka bhedi pura vyoma paya. As one waters the Bhakti-lata beej, the seed sprouts and the creeper gradually grows to the point where it penetrates the walls of the universe and goes beyond the Viraja river. Lying between the spiritual world and the material world, it attains Brahmaloka. The Brahman effulges and penetrates through that stratum. It reaches the spiritual sky and the spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan. Purport: a creeper generally takes shelter of a big tree, but the big lata, being the creeper of spiritual energy, cannot take shelter of any material planet. For there is no tree on any material planet, but that the bhakti creeper can utilize for shelter. In other words, devotional service cannot be utilized for any material purpose. Devotional service is meant only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes men with a poor fund of knowledge maintain that bhakti can be applied to material things also. In other words, they say that devotional service can be rendered to one's country or to the demigods. But this is not a fact. Devotional service is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is beyond this material range. There is river or causal river between the spiritual and material natures, and this river is free from the influence of three modes of material nature. Therefore it is called Viraja. The prefix V means Vigata, completely eradicate, and Rajas means the influence of the material world. On this platform, a living entity is completely free from material entanglement. For the Gyanis who want to merge into the Brahman effulgence, there is Brahmaloka. The Bhakti-lata, however, has no shelter in the material world, nor has it shelter in the Brahmalok. Although Brahmalok is beyond the material world, the Bhakti-lata grows until it reaches the spiritual sky where Golok Vrindavan is situated. So this is a very nice verse. Verse 154. Tabe yai tad upari Golok Vrindavan Krishna Charan Kalpa Vrikshe Kare Arohan. Kare Arohan, that is climbs. Being situated in one's heart and being watered by Shravan Kirtan, the Bhakti creeper grows more and more. In this way, it attains the shelter of the desired tree of lotus feet of Krishna, who is eternally situated in the planet known as Golok Vrindavan, in the topmost region of the spiritual sky. Purport: in the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is said, Ananda Chinmay Rasa Prati Bhavitabhis Tabhir Ya Eva Nija Rūpataya Kalabhih Golok eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tam aham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. He resides in his own realm, Golok, with Radha, who resembles his own spiritual figure and who embodies the ecstatic potency Haladini. Their companions are her confidants, who embody extensions of her bodily form and who are imbued and permeated with ever blissful spiritual rasa. In the spiritual world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has expanded himself by his spiritual potency. He has his eternal form of bliss and knowledge, Satchidanand Vigraha. Everything in the Golok Vrindavan planet is a spiritual expansion of Satchidanand. Therefore, everyone there is the same potency, Ananda Chinmay Rasa. The relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his servitor is Chinmay Rasa. Krishna and his entourage and paraphernalia are of the same Chinmay potency. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is expanded throughout the spiritual world. And when that Chinmay Rasa potency expands through the material potency, it becomes all-pervading. The idea is that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists on his own planet Golok Vrindavan, he is also present everywhere. Andantara stha paramanu Chyantra Stham, he is present within all the universe through, although they are innumerable, and he is also present within the atom. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriday Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. He is also present within the heart of all living entities. This is his all-pervasive potency. Golok Vrindavan is the highest planet in the spiritual world. In order to go to the spiritual world after penetrating the covering of the material universe, one must penetrate Brahmalok, the spiritual effulgence. Then one can come to the Golok Vrindavan planet. There are also other planets in the spiritual world called Vaikuntha planets. And on these planets, Lord Narayan is worshipped with awe and veneration. On these planets, Shanta Rasa is prevalent, and some of the devotees are also connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Dasya Rasa, the mellow of servitorship. As far as the mellow of fraternity is concerned in Vaikuntha, this rasa is represented by Gaurav Sakhya, friendship in awe and veneration. The other fraternity rasa exhibited in is Vishrambha. Fraternity in equality is found in Golok Vrindavan planet. Above this is the service to the Lord in Vatsalya rasa, the parental love, and above all is a relationship with the Lord in Madhurya rasa, that is the conjugal love. These five rasas are fully exhibited in the spiritual world in one's relationship with the Lord. Therefore, in the spiritual world, the Bhakti creeper finds its resting place at the lotus feet of Krishna. Verse 155. Tahan vistarita hena phale prema phala iha mali seche nitya shravanadi jala. Seche is just like we say in Hindi, sinche, waters. The creeper greatly expands in the Golok Vrindavan planet, and there it produces the fruit of love for Krishna. Although remaining in the material world, the gardener regularly sprinkles the creeper with the water of hearing and chanting. Purport: in Golok Vrindavan, the devotees have very intimate relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee engages in the Lord's service in great ecstatic love. Such a love was exhibited personally by Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu in his teachings to the people of material world. The fruit of the devotional creeper is the pure desire to serve and please the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Prema Nama. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 4.165. In the spiritual world, one has no desire other than to please the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditioned soul within the material world can neither understand nor appreciate how a pure devotee in the material world can render confidential service to the Lord out of feelings of ecstatic love and always engage in pleasing the Supreme Lord's senses. Although seen within this material world, the pure devotee always engages in the confidential service of the Lord. An ordinary neophyte devotee cannot realize this. Therefore, it is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyaneha Na Bhujaya. The activities of pure Vaishnav cannot be understood even by a learned scholar in the material world. Every living entity is wandering within this universe in different species on different planetary systems according to his fruitive activities. Out of many millions of living entities, one may be fortunate enough to receive the seed of the Bhakti Lata, the creeper of the devotional service. By the grace of the spiritual master in Krishna, one nourishes the Bhakti Lata by regularly sprinkling it with the water of Shravan Kirtan. Hearing and chanting in this way, the seed of the Bhakti Lata sprouts and grows up and up through the whole universe until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and reaches the spiritual world. The Bhakti Lata continues to grow until it reaches the topmost planetary system, Golok Vrindavan, where Krishna lives. There the creeper takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and that is its final destination, and at that time the creeper begins to grow the fruits of ecstatic love of God. It is the duty of the devotee who nourishes the creeper to be very careful. It is said that the watering of the creeper must continue. Ihan mali seche nitya shravanadi jala. It is not at a certain stage one can stop chanting and hearing and become a mature devotee. If one stops, one certainly falls down from the devotional service. Although one may be very much exalted in devotional service, he should not give up the watering process of Shravan Kirtan. If one gives up that process, it is called an offense. This is described in the following verse. Verse 156. Yadi Vaishnava Aprad Uthe Hati Mata Upade Va Chinde Tar Shukhi Yai Pata. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots a creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. Purport: one's devotional attitude increases in the association of a Vaishnava. Tandera charana de sevi bhakta sana vasvasa janme janme haya e abhilash. By the personal example, Narottam Das Thakur stresses that a devotee must always remember to please his predecessor Acharya. The Gosvāmīs are represented by one's spiritual master. One cannot be an Acharya spiritual master without following strictly in the disciplic succession of the Acharyas. One who is actually serious about advancing in devotional service should desire only to satisfy the previous Acharyas. E Chaya Gosani Yar Mui Taram Dasa. One should always think of oneself as a servant of the Acharyas. And thinking this, one should always live in the society of Vaishnavas. However, one thinks that he has become very mature and can live separate from the association of Vaishnavas, and thus gives up all the regulative principles due to the offending a Vaishnava, one's position becomes very dangerous. Offenses against the holy name are explained in Adi Lila chapter 8 verse 24. Giving up the regulative principles and living according to one's whims is compared to a mad elephant which by force uproots a Bhakti Lata and breaks it to pieces. In this way, Bhakti Lata shrivels up. Such an offense is especially created when one disobeys the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called Guru Avagya. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offenses against the spiritual master by disobeying his instructions. As soon as one is deviated from the instructions of the spiritual master, the uprooting of the Bhakti Lata begins and gradually all the leaves dry up. Verse 157 onwards we'll continue next time because the purports are quite lengthy. Thank you for joining. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna and happy Jaya Ekadashi to all of you. Today's Mahadvadashi, but we are fasting today because yesterday was not suitable for fasting. And tomorrow is the appearance day of Nityananda Prabhu. And we are also fasting for that also. Today we had fasted half day. So I think we have read quite appropriate verses, because it's the appearance of the Adi Guru tomorrow, Nityananda, who gave holy name in every town, every village, in Nadia. There are so many enchanting Vaishnav songs to be sung. Nadia Kudrume Nityananda Mahajan, the Nitai Pada Kamala. List goes on and on. So we'll catch up tomorrow or next time whenever we do the reading. Hariam Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Krishna's Kaviraj Gosvāmī ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.